Amazon knows how to screw up really simple situations because you would be thinking to yourself, if they're adapting a series that has several games or a book series where there's tons of source material, it wouldn't be that hard to actually get on screen. But for them, apparently it is because they're hiring all of the wrong people. And now we're finding out that the God of War series for Prime is facing major controversies because they may entirely skip over Kratos' origin story. We know when it comes to Tomb Raider, it's stuck in dev hell, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge still reportedly has no script, even though she's been paid over $100 million by Amazon. And of course, that is just beside things like the Wheel of Time and the Rings of Power. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I completely understand when you are adapting something to a live action format, not every single thing is going to be a total recreation of the video games or the books, but it's like the people Amazon is hiring are just total dimwits. They don't know what they're doing, and this arises when you have people who A, are lazy, and B, do not care about the source material. It shouldn't be that hard for companies that have tons of money at their disposal to hire real fans. That's not what they're doing, and now apparently God of War is being screwed over, Tomb Raider's being screwed over, and that's also taking into consideration that they've already completely butchered the Wheel of Time and they've butchered the Rings of Power. So starting off with this article, it says God of War series for Amazon Prime faces controversy. Series may skip over Kratos' story in ancient Greece. Absolutely mind-blowing, but honestly not that surprising. It's like Sony over the past couple of years have kind of wanted to sideline that part of Kratos' history. They've wanted to just focus on Ragnarok and like the modern games, which they're not bad games, don't get me wrong, but they still do not scratch that God of War itch, at least for me, as the ancient Greece games, that like those were just so good. And that is the Kratos I want to see more of, but he's too, masculine in those. Can't have that these days. It says the God of War series for Amazon Prime, adapted from the iconic video game, has been met with both excitement and skepticism from fans. I became extremely skeptical just a few weeks ago when we heard the showrunner straight up admit that he never played the games, he's not good at games, and that they weren't really paying attention to what happened in the games, because that's the response we got with the Halo TV series with the Master Cheeks. I was so sad because Halo really shouldn't have been that hard to adapt, but Paramount just screwed that one up, and then they went in this brand new direction. But the showrunners for that had said that they weren't paying attention to the games because they wanted to make something unique, but the only reason you had a job and that it was getting made was because the games were just that good and because fans loved the games. Crazy to me. Now, in this case, I felt a little bit different, right? Because it's Ronald D. Moore and he is someone who worked on Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica. So he kind of understands sci-fi and he understands adaptions, at least in my opinion, a little bit better than the people that worked on uh, Halo. But just because somebody did something great in the past doesn't mean that they're going to be the right fit for every project. And when you hear him talking about how he's not a gamer and he's like, I've never done this before, and he just doesn't really care about video games, that just didn't sit well with me and a lot of other people. But it says originally the series was helmed by showrunner Rafi Judkins, who had previously headed Amazon's The Wheel of Time atrocity. At least that is not happening anymore. That individual is not a part of this, but The Wheel of Time, I could go on for hours and hours about how god awful that series is, how much story they skipped, how they race and gender swapped characters, how they rewrite storylines all the time and character backgrounds. Like, it is just not good. It says, though, according to IGN, their scripts had reportedly been well received by Amazon and Sony Pictures. However, towards the end of 2024, both the showrunner and executive producers were removed from the project. Supposedly, the studios opted for a new creative direction, leading to a complete reset of the writer's room. That makes no sense to me, because if scripts are well received by Amazon and Sony, why are you scrapping them and restarting and opting for a new creative direction? That just does not make a lot of sense, at least in my opinion. But as it says, another major controversy stems from the show's narrative focus. According to the news outlet Dexerto, the series will jump straight into God of War Ragnarok's storyline, which takes heavy inspiration from Norse mythology. In other words, it seems there will be little to no ancient Greek elements. I'm not so surprised by this, but I am disappointed because that is such an important part of Kratos' backstory to understand how he got to that point and who he is and how he has developed so much throughout the games. But I get that they don't want to have to do 8 seasons of a show in order to show all that backstory. But if you can't adapt something from the start, do not adapt it at all because you are sacrificing so many important parts of the story. And that means that they're not even going to reference that part of his backstory. So it's like he just starts becoming a character at God of War 2018, which is just not a good decision. But it seems that Amazon is really good at making poor decisions because look at what's gone on with Tomb Raider. I've talked about this a lot on the channel because this is really heartbreaking to me. But they hired Phoebe Waller-Bridge to write this, and it seems like it's going to be feminist slop, though it is in development hell, so maybe this won't even come out, which would be the best case scenario because I don't want them adapting things in a bad way. I would rather them not create it at all than put out a pile of slop. And now apparently we're finding out that she still has no script for this live action series. They don't really have a clear direction, which is insane given she made a multi-year deal with them back in 2019 for $20 million a year, meaning at this point in time she's made over $100 million and she's done absolutely nothing for them. I don't know why they keep her around. I don't even know why they think that this is going to work. You'd think that Tomb Raider wouldn't be that hard to adapt, but you need somebody who understands Lara Croft and the source material and cares about these characters, and these people just don't. And we've heard about so many questionable adaptations over the past couple of years. This one, to me, at this point in time, is really the worst because, like, I love Tolkien and I love The Lord of the Rings, but I never expected the Rings of Power to be phenomenal given they chose a time period where there wasn't a lot of existing lore because they wanted to fuck around with the story that they were creating. And we know that they modernized that. And the Wheel of Time, I also did not ever really have a lot of faith in because the same thing was happening. And even looking at other companies like Netflix, they're allegedly going to be adapting the Chronicles of Narnia in a new and modern way because they're turning Aslan into a female lion, which is crazy. And they're picking pop stars to play central characters like the White Witch. These people in Hollywood just have no fucking clue what they're doing and how to make good TV shows and movies. And they just see video games as another way to make a few bucks because Hollywood makes about $20 billion a year. At least in 2024 it was estimated 20 billion, and the video game industry made over 200 billion. So they see a way to cash in with the Last of Us series and the God of War series and this potential Tomb Raider series, and just a way to make money. And while that will work to a certain extent, gamers are becoming sick and tired of seeing these people completely dump on our fan favorite characters and franchises. So I don't think any of these are going to be wildly successful. I think that they face major problems with God of War and completely skipping over Kratos' backstory. I think that with Tomb Raider, if they do go in this new feminist modern direction, people are going to trash it. And I have absolutely no faith in Amazon at this point in time. They need to hire fans, they need to hire gamers, they need to hire people who actually understand the source material. And in every single case, that is not happening. So I'll be keeping my eye on these. Maybe we'll get some good news as time goes on, though. It seems that all of these adaptations are in development hell. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.